We are back here on the Lynne Hayes Freeland show. My guest today, two representatives of Pittsburgh City Council. They kind of made some waves this past week with the whole idea of a state of educational emergency. Pittsburgh Public Schools, Daniel Lavelle, Ricky Burgess, and Ricky, I'm just going to come right back to you. We're just going to pick up the conversation.
Well, of course, I reached out to Ms. Wilson. She's my school board representative, and I certainly, she was busy and couldn't arrange a time for us to chat, but certainly we texted each other. And of course, I would have never went down this path without trying to talk to her directly. Councilman Lavelle and I had the great privilege to have a private meeting with President Joe Biden when he was president-elect. Mm-hmm. This shows you our ability to have partnerships. And so if money is the problem, together, let us go to the state and to the federal government, to the foundation community. Let's find every available resource. This is not a question of money. I don't think that's a secondary question. I think the first question is we have to have a plan to educate these kids, one that everyone can agree with, which starts with year-round school, opening schools now. And I believe the money then becomes easier because it's based on tangible academic success and achievement.
So, I mean, because here is the other reality. I mean, and a lot of things came up with Pittsburgh Public Schools in the last week, you know, from not going back to in-class learning until April, and we don't know what that's going to look like. The whole issue of, the COVID-19 safety for teachers and for kids, the number of school buildings, you know, they kind of tabled that decision. And clearly families are fleeing from Pittsburgh Public Schools for a variety of reasons. So the realities are we got to stop the bleeding, because as the city is only as strong as its school district. I mean, if people are going to come to this city, you got to convince them we have a solid school district. And right now we don't have that to offer.
So that's why go ahead.
I think it needs to be said, because I don't think our intent is not to be all negative. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, my children are in PPS, and they are in PPS because I was able to get them into a strong school with strong leadership, with a principal who absolutely loves and adores every one of her children in that school. And so because of that, I'm comfortable with my child's education. But at the same time, those are the few of us that are able to navigate the system and do what's best for our children. Many other families are simply choosing to leave the system. My former neighbors chose to leave the system because they didn't want to pay for private school any longer. I didn't meet her, but I just read a woman's story today where she has pulled all 4 of her children out of the system so that she can homeschool them. The parents have clearly shown they are willing to walk away. The reason why we're having a conversation about needing to close public schools because we don't have enough children in the system. We don't quote me on these numbers, but we have a school system that can hold at least 40,000 children. Meanwhile, we have 20-some thousand in the system, and those numbers have been going down. My children ride the bus when they were in school. They rode the bus to school. Mm-hmm. Every day, you would see at least 3 yellow school buses coming through the Hill District, picking up children, taking those children elsewhere because they didn't want their children in their home school. That is a problem. We have to acknowledge it, but it creates a collective solution, because not only is it bad for the school district, it's bad for us as a city. It hurts our tax base. It hurts us recruiting. There are many young Black professionals who want to come in and want to move into Homewood or want to move to the Hill, but they look at the schools and say, nah, I can't come. Mm-hmm. And so this is a collective problem that we need to collectively come together to figure out a solution for.
Okay, now this is all going to be discussed at the council meeting on Tuesday. Is that correct?
That's on Wednesday, but then we intend to have at least 2 or 3 public meetings. We intend to have 2 or 3 public meetings with the board, with the superintendent, with the outside stakeholders, even with parents. We intend to make this come up with a very public conversation for a very public solution.
Hold that thought, because that's where we're going to pick up the conversation when we come back, because everybody's going to have this, literally is going to have to be an all hands on deck to fix this. And that's where we pick it up when the Lynne Hayes Freeland show returns. Don't go away.